Hey, welcome back. I know it's been a minute since I've made any video, I guess, any long format video, but I still make videos on my Instagram and I've been posting a lot of shorts on here. A lot of you guys probably seen the shorts. I just haven't had time for long format videos because, you know, life has been lifing and yeah, I just kind of been through a couple different jobs here and there within the same company, but some of them took a lot more time than others. But anyways, enough about that. Today, I'm gonna go ahead and just kick this off by doing something really simple, super fast. We're gonna be replacing the rotor rings on my Paragon two-piece rotor that go to my Paragon big brake kit. This is partly sponsored by them. I still had to pay some. They just offer at a discount for sponsorships like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace this ring with a brand new one. Now, this ring has probably over a year's worth of track days, which I guess that can be not an accurate representation of how many track days is on this. I honestly lost count. I was doing almost one a month, but I kind of narrowed it down to just like a handful of track days throughout the year. I did do a pretty big event, Apex Fest, and that one I had the gyro disc on, but the gyro discs are actually only meant for the OEM Brembo kit. So these are actually too small. The radius of it is too small. So I need to take those out. They're also installed the wrong way. But I need to take those on because the pad actually has a little bit of overhang, and if you have that, it'll still work, it'll still brake. I ran it for the event. The brakes worked fine. It's just that when you have that little bit of overhang and the material starts to wear out, it could actually cause some significant vibrations in the car. And I only know that because one, Paragon told me that was gonna happen for running the wrong size rotor. But two, I experienced it after the track day, driving the car home. The car actually had significant vibrations inside of the car because I wore out so much pad and there was still like just slightly that was uneven. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the gyro discs in the front because they're just wrong and they're installed wrong. But these are gonna get replaced. I also have new pads. I have virtually no pad in the rear. I wore it out. These are the R7 pad, if you can see that, hopefully it's in focus. But I've been running these in the rear, both daily driving and track days. Phenomenal pad and make a huge difference. And inside of these is their P2 like street pad. I'm gonna run a street pad because one, it's less noisy and it has way less dust than running a more aggressive pad. I don't really need an aggressive pad for daily driving. I live in a metroplex, so I'm not gonna be doing any crazy driving here in you guys. We don't have canyons or roads that I can really use this car for. I just kind of save all the aggressive driving for the track. And for those, I always just swap out pads the night before a track day. And for those, I actually run the R7 pads, but in the front. That is once they heat up, that is a very aggressive pad. It's actually so much stopping power with the 6-piston upgrade and that pad that I eventually need to put a harness to hold me in my seat because I actually end up sliding off of my seat with how much stopping power it provides for a car that is not entirely too heavy. If I had to guess, with me in the car, the gross weight plus me, there's a couple of weight saving stuff here and there, not anything ridiculous. But it probably weighs like 3,400 pounds with me in it, maybe 3,500 pounds, which is still a lot. It's still a lot of weight, but to be running an aggressive pad in the rear, 6 pistons up front with a very aggressive pad, the stopping power on these rotors or on this big brake kit in general is pretty crazy. If you aren't into any serious competition with your Type R, the Brembos are plenty enough. All you need is when I had the stock Brembos and I was tracking the car, I put a Hawk DTC 60 in the front and I had Hawk DTC 30s in the rear, and that alone made all the difference in the world. So don't feel like you need to upgrade to this, but if you are looking to improve your stopping times or just stopping power in general in the track, definitely upgrade to the Paragon big brake kit. One, it's not super expensive for what you get, and they last a pretty good amount of time. I mean, I had, these honestly would have lasted longer if I wasn't such a scrub and was so hard on the brakes. I actually need to work on how I brake into those braking zones, because I kind of brake a little bit too aggressively, and I think that has a lot to do with why these wore out as fast as they did. It's not even that bad. They just started forming a slight lip on both of them, and since I'm kind of trying to do maintenance on the car, do a little bit of a refresh, I figured, hey, why not just go ahead and replace the rotors while I'm at it and start new. So we're gonna go ahead. Paragon, thank you for the discount on the rotor rings and for the discount on the pad. And yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. The rear, it's really not that complicated. I do use a special tool to compress the piston back there. I think people do some weird stuff with the electronics. Just take the parking brake off. That's all I do. And then I loosen a little star bolt thing, and then I start compressing the piston, and then that's it for me. I don't really do anything too special. But yeah, if you have any questions, please leave it down in the comment section down below. I try to answer you guys relatively within the time period of the video. I still try to answer questions from very old videos, so just bear with me. It's a lot of questions all at once, on top of everybody that messages me on Instagram and those social media platforms. But yeah, let's get to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it off by putting this off to the side and then removing the centerpiece from the ring. What I'm using to remove the centerpiece from the ring is going to be I believe this is an E8 socket, and an 11 mil for the rear nuts. I'm gonna see if I can do this standing up, and let's see what we can get ourselves into. Maybe if I had it in the right way. Hardware associated with this install, it's going to be one nut that goes in the back. Then you have what they call a T-bobbin for this specific setup. And then they have a U-clip right here that goes, I'm assuming holds the T-bobbin in place, or yeah, I'm assuming that's what it's for. It'll hold the T-bobbin from wiggling in place, I'm assuming. And then another clip and the bolt, and that's really it. They do advise you to replace all the hardware, so I have fresh new hardware here. Thanks to Paragon for providing these. Instruction, one of them there's a set of instructions online that calls for a washer, but this didn't come with a washer in the back, nor did my bolt kit come with a replacement washer, so I'm not gonna worry about the washer. And additionally, Paragon didn't have any more T-bobbins to give me, so I'm gonna go ahead and reuse these T-bobbins. They said that these are okay for reuse, but the bolts and the clips and the nut, because they see so much heat, they end up getting corroded anyways, so it's honestly best practice to just replace all the fastening hardware, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna repeat this 11 more times because there's a set of 12 bolts that hold this thing in place. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these. All right, so this is what it looks like removed from the ring, and this is all the crappy hardware I'm sure you can see it right there, but it's all corroded and nasty. So we got all this new hardware, so we can get rid of this one and go ahead and start installing it in this one. Now, I am gonna go ahead and just wipe this down real fast. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter. So we can just go ahead and start installing it. Make sure all your old hardware is off. Now we have both pieces here together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place it, try to center it. And I'm gonna put 4 bolts in, one on each corner, so that way it can help center it. So we're gonna do the U-clip, the little T-bobbin, the other clip, 1 bolt. And then this is gonna be the nut for the back, which is gonna be a pain to do. I'm just gonna loosely put it on there. I'm not gonna fully tighten everything down until it comes time to torque it. This is just more for centering purposes than anything, and it came off. There we go. Yep. Well, it'll still come off, so just so you know. So just try and do one at every corner, so that way it keeps it from coming off at the other ends. So T-bobbin clip. The little lip on the clip, just so you know, goes on the inside. Okay. And then I might just keep doing a crisscross pattern like that. That isn't the torque sequence, by the way. The torque sequence is not like that way. I'll show you the torque sequence from the install guide that I found online. So that be like me and forget the clip. So there is one thing that I did forget to do before putting the nuts, and that's installing some thread locker. And they do recommend high temp thread locker. I don't know if this is high temp or not, so it may or may not do anything, but I'm gonna go ahead and okay, I'm just gonna lightly fasten them down. I'm not gonna fully torque these down because there is a torque pattern. I have the torque sequence here on my phone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a marker and then just marker all of them. So this was 1, 2, it's gonna be this one. So this is 2, that's a shitty 2. 2, 3 is gonna be this one. 4 is this one. 5 is this one. 6, this. 7, 8, 9, and 11, and 12. So now what we have to do is just torque it to those. I don't know if I mentioned, but the torque value is 10.5 foot-pounds. That's it. Now it's time to take the caliper off, and you don't really need much. You need a 6 mil hex to take out these 2 bolts, and then you need a 10 mil hex to take out the 2 mounting bolts that hold on to the bracket, and something to separate the pads. I have a crappy pad separation tool from Amazon. I'll leave links down in the description box below for your convenience if you want to check those out. I do gain a little bit of commission off anything down in the description box below. It does help me be able to afford these kinds of videos. So if you want to help me out, you know, use the descriptions or use the links in the description box below. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. Set this off to the side. So now we have to separate these pads. I don't know if you can tell, but the pad is just slightly, ever so slightly over the actual rotor itself. You can get away with something like this if you're on a pinch, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're gonna feel a lot of vibrations. You should, you know, get the appropriate size rotor for your pad or vice versa. But we're gonna go ahead and, you know, install the right rotor, so there's no big deal. You could always try to pry these off. If you have a fresh pad, it's not always gonna work. Or you can push from the bottom like I am. And it should come out. There you go. These are Paragon titanium shim. They're supposed to be good for heat dissipation because titanium dissipates heat very well. As you can see from the white, I've put a lot of heat in these. It's just, these brakes get so hot because I'm so hard on the brakes that I actually am running RBF 660 because of how much heat I put into these brakes, which is not the best. Definitely need to work on my braking a little bit. There you go. Another titanium shim on the other side. You can tell how hot it got from just how white it is. The ashing effect is still kind of there. You can see some white ashing marks on here. That means you got a lot of heat in your pads, which is, I mean, a good thing. You want to get these hot, but you don't want to get so hot that you're boiling your brake fluid. Something to note there. And then we'll go ahead and remove that. Should be 10 mil. I don't know if it's technically correct. I don't even know if Paragon, I don't think Paragon recommends it. But the last time I took these off and put them on, I did use some high temp anti-seize on the threads, and it made these coming off a whole lot easier. And I've put these through some pretty extensive track days and they didn't get loose or anything. It's up to you if you want to use anti-seize if you're gonna find yourself, you know, doing this your own maintenance. There's a washer, don't lose the washer. If you couldn't tell, I turn the wheel towards me so that way I have better access to these bolts. And probably not the right way to do it, but I just hang it up there. As long as the brake line isn't stressed out, I think it'll be fine. Now we gotta take this piece off. I do reuse these centering bolts right here. You absolutely do not need to run these. Just sliding them on and never reinstalling this is perfectly okay. I, for whatever reason, just have severe OCD and I like it to be centered, so I put them back on. But they can be a pain to take on and off, so. But I put anti-seize on everything that gets hot, so they come off pretty easily. Should you put anti-seize on everything? I don't know. Do I care if I put anti-seize on everything? No. And you know, if you didn't, this will all be rusted and stuff. And I just didn't want that, so yeah, there you go. Here's the gyro disc rotor. This is actually installed the wrong way, even though it looks cool installed this way with these machine piece, like the machine part of it going that way. But the these vanes are actually supposed to be going this way. So that way, I guess it dissipates heat out and stuff. I don't know. Either way, it's on the wrong way. The gyro disc, not the gyro disc, but the Paragon disc is orientated the way that it looks good, and those I don't know what they're called, veins or whatever, are in the right direction. So I'll show you. So here is the Paragon disc, and as you can see, these little channels are, you know, facing like that way, where these were facing that way, and they're supposed to be this way. So technically this is supposed to go on the passenger side, and the vanes, right, these machine pieces are actually going to be, you know, look the opposite way. But I think there is some benefit to these being faced this way. I think maybe, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. I'm just not even like pretend like I know, because frankly I don't really care that much. I don't think it saves me that much like heat, or saves me from soaking up that much heat in my brakes. I mean, maybe if, you know, you're engineering explained, maybe you can tell me. But see, these are, you know, rotating that way. So as you can see, my Paragon disc, the inside of it has some rust in it. So I'm just gonna clean that off, and then I am gonna put some anti-seize around there and call it a day. All right, so I put some anti-seize on the back of it. I cleaned it, put some anti-seize on it, and now I'm putting them in. If you want to use these bolts, then just make sure that you put it to where these are aligned with the holes on the actual, like, I guess the wheel bearing part of it. So I had to switch over to a different microphone because my other one died, but hopefully the audio is not too terrible. And then just so I can hate myself in the future, I just give them those that. There you go. What's that? I'm gonna go ahead and put a bolt in. That way I can kind of hold it in place. These are, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, these are the P2 pads. They're street pads, which I'm okay with doing, because when the track time comes, I'm gonna just run these again. You still have pretty good pad life on them, so no point in throwing those away. Like I said, I just put a bit of anti-seize on them. Somebody's probably gonna be in the comment section telling me that it's wrong, but I haven't had any issues with this coming off when the torque gets to the correct torque spec. Using a bounce slides in, perfect. I'm gonna take my shim, try and slide it in there. Perfect fit. You just want to make sure that if you're kind of playing around with rotors and brake pads, just make sure that your brake pad isn't hanging over your rotor, and that's what's going to cause that vibration that I talked about earlier. So now let's install the other one. Now I know that I'm using a flathead to compress the pistons in. If you're gonna do that, just be really careful not to damage anything. You even be taking advice from a guy using a flathead. has a mallet? Probably not. All we have to do is install these. These can be kind of a pain, so just be patient. The torque values for the mounting bolts is 70 foot-pounds, and all I have is this tiny foot wrench. So go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move to the rear brake. Take the clip off. The pads on this are pretty much non-existent because, well, I wore them out my last track day pretty easily. I don't know if you can tell from here, but you can see the paint kind of started to boil off. That's how hot the brakes got on my last track day. So that should give you some type of indication just how much heat the brakes actually produce. And you can see like the pad is completely like ashed over. It wasn't like that in any other track day, but I was carrying a lot of speed on this last one, so they got hot. We have to replace them, or at least service them. All right, remove the little caps right back here. There's no real great way to show you how this gets done. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is the right selection. That's the back of these. These are a 7mm hex. If those bolts are removed, it just slides right up. See, as you can tell, these are already worn out. You can see this little Phillips bolt right there. They lasted me a pretty good amount of time for being track pads. Yeah, these are toasted already. We got fresh new set right here. There's a completely worn pad and fresh set of pads. One with the spring and it goes in the rear. The one without the spring goes in the front. Next thing we have to do is on the back of this motor, there's these two, let me see if I can focus. So on this motor, there are two little 5 Allen screws, and we need to remove those so we can get to the back of the motor. And you can just start pulling it out. You can use a flathead. Oh, it's probably not the proper way to do it, but it'll work. Okay. Okay. Set that off to the side, and then as you can see, it exposes this spline. I think the actual size for that is a E11, but I only have an E12 socket and it works. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I think the actual term for this is like a Torx bit or an E bit, whatever it want to be, but I think the right size is an 11, but all we have is a 12. So it might be a better fit for you, but it still works for me. We're just gonna turn this clockwise until it comes to a complete stop. And it stopped, don't force it. Next, what we have to do is decompress this piston. I have me here a piston compression tool. It's gotta go all the way down because this is actually the piston is pretty much all the way compressed because of, well, the pad was really worn out. So okay, once you have your combination of little compression tool, just keep turning in the direction of the way that your tool compresses, and then soon it'll go all the way down. It's pretty tedious, so we'll be ready to spend some time here. Almost done. Maybe. You don't have to compress it down all the way, just really until you have enough clearance to put the pads in. And remember, the one with the clip goes on the inside. Alright, still need to compress it a little bit. You could honestly just hand compress this by turning this. It starts to loosen over time. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's see if it's enough. Alright, so that is good. All we gotta do is put the motor back. There you go. And get your 5mm hex bolts in. Alright, the motor's on. Alright, so those are on. Everything seems good. I'm gonna put this retaining clip back on. The end of the entire installation process. It's pretty easy. There's really not much to replacing your rotors and replacing your brake pads. It's something that everybody can do at home. So I wouldn't be too, I guess, intimidated by it if it's something that you've never done before. It's super easy. Honestly, the hardest part for anybody, especially if you're a beginner, would probably be the rear motor. That part, I mean, it can be a little bit tricky with taking it apart and messing with that spline and stuff, but either way, it's super easy. I hope that the video was helpful. After that, all that's really left to do is to really just bed the brakes. I already did it. I'm actually filming way after I filmed that video right now, so either way, just look it up online. You can find a video on it. You can find instructions on it online. It's nothing but kind of just going, you know, in speed, increasing incrementally in speed, and then hitting the brakes within those various speeds at, like, you know, just pretty much slamming on your brakes. I wouldn't recommend to do it in a traffic area. Definitely find someplace without traffic, but it's super easy. So, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. I know the video wasn't that exciting, that great. I really, I'm struggling hard to really try and make these videos as exciting as possible, but I'll figure it out. Yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions, please leave it down in the comment section below. If you like the video, make sure you subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Also, click over here if you want to keep the content going. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.